Yeah, a couple of things. One, I think the mayor needs to go back to what was practically the enforcement of the law prior to his executive order back in March, which is if you violate the law, you have to be treated as if you're violating the law. Two, we need a statutory speed limit in the law. I'm on legislation with Councilmember Maloney to do just that. Three, we need to make sure that if you're riding one of these vehicles, you have a registration, just like if you were riding a motorcycle or a car.
One second, just let that thing go by. Sorry, it's hard to edit when you hear all that.
That's okay, that's right. Gotta start. Okay, today we are announcing a lawsuit against the Mamdani administration for overturning Commissioner Jessica Tisch's policy on e-bikes. Commissioner Tisch had the good sense, the experience, and had studied the catastrophe that pedestrians in our city are facing by reckless e-bike drivers. It was because of her considered judgment and experience that she decided NYPD officers needed to issue criminal summonses when e-bikes speed along pedestrian sidewalks, drive the wrong way on one-way streets, and blow through red lights and stop signs. Since Mamdani overturned this decision of the commissioner in March of this year, the situation has gotten worse. I am joined by advocates and victims all over this city to say that the mayor's power does not include ignoring public safety. Officers need the discretion to issue criminal summonses when e-bikes drivers put pedestrians at risk, which is happening on every single street corner of every major thoroughfare in this city. I'm honored to be working with Councilmember Morano, who joins in his personal capacity as our lead plaintiff, Councilmember Palladino, and the many advocates that have joined us with the victims today. First, I'd like to introduce the people who are running the EVSA, the Electric Vehicle Safety Association, Janet Schroeder and Andrew Fine.
Hi, everybody. I'm Janet Schroeder. This is Andrew Fine. I'm the director of the New York City E-Vehicle Safety Alliance, and I'm here to report some facts today. The e-vehicle crisis is far worse than what you see on the DOT stats. Most e-vehicle crashes are never reported. That's a fact. EMT and FDNY are the first to the scene of the majority of e-vehicle crashes. The victims taken from the crash scene directly to the hospital, if the police get there at all, and they usually don't. But the last thing a victim is thinking about after being released from the hospital when trying to recover from serious injury is going to the precinct to report it. So even when they do, often the precinct officers will say it's too late to report, or I didn't witness it. We have 128 e-vehicle violence victims in EFSA. This includes 23 traumatic brain injuries, paralysis, vision loss, 5 broken hips, hundreds of broken bones, and all have PTSD. 9 have police reports, so that means only 9 show up on the DOT stats. So 95% of these serious accidents literally do not count. It's as if they never happened, and that's not okay. And in all but 6 of these 128 crashes, just in our group, with serious injury, the rider fled. There is no accountability. So please listen closely. DOT reports 37 crashes with injury in 2023. But Dr. Angela Pfaff, an ER trauma surgeon at Bellevue, stated they had 220 in 2023 and half of 2024. The math isn't mathing, okay? Serious crashes with injuries are happening every day. Lastly, the chief of neurology, Dr. Hannah Weiss at NY Langone, reports a 400% increase in e-vehicle trauma admissions in a 5-year period. Right now, 50% of trauma cases coming into NYU Langone are e-vehicle related. Accountability now, Priscilla's Law now. Accountability now! Priscilla's Law now!
Hi everybody, Andrew Fine from the E-Vehicle Safety Alliance. I'm here to speak about justice. Justice is a basic expectation of every New Yorker and every American for fairness and equal protection under the law. When we speak of justice, we envision Lady Justice, blindfolded, impartial, with scales in hand. Sadly, in this city hall, the scales are wildly askew. On one side, we have e-city bikes and high-speed e-bikes and the rich and powerful apps that benefit from them. And on the other, we have innocent New Yorkers just trying to get around that are being hit, injured, and even killed by them. The e-bikers are being treated like a protected class, when it's the pedestrians that deserve to be protected. Am I right? We know why this is happening. Powerful interests like Uber Eats, DoorDash, City Bike, Lyft, and others that profit from this impunity. They have poured millions of dollars into the political system to preserve this untenable status quo and to avoid liability, most importantly. They fund AstroTurf lobbying groups like Transportation Alternatives to run cover for them, and this stops today.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrew Fine. I now have the great honor of introducing Councilmember Frank Morano, who is our lead plaintiff in his individual, not his official capacity. We filed in Staten Island in homage to him.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Good afternoon. Today I'm here in two capacities. I'm here as a New Yorker who enjoys walking through this city, whether it's on Staten Island or Manhattan, and I'm here as a plaintiff in this lawsuit. I want to emphasize that at first I'm participating solely in my personal capacity, not on behalf of the New York City Council, but I'm joining this lawsuit because I'm a pedestrian before I'm a council member, and this lawsuit really has very little to do with e-bikes. This lawsuit is about whether the law means what it says. If a mayor doesn't like a law, the answer is to change it, not pretend that it doesn't exist. Go to the city council, go to the state legislature, make your case, build a coalition, persuade the public. We've seen this mayor is capable of doing that when he wants to. That's how democracy works. What should never happen is for any mayor, regardless of party, to effectively suspend laws that were duly enacted by the people's elected representatives. That is not good government. That is just dangerous. Where does that go from here? But there's also a very real public safety issue here. Over the past several months, I've heard from parents whose children have been struck by e-bikes. I've spoken with seniors who tell me they're afraid to cross the street. I've heard from people with disabilities, including my friend Walter to my right, who worry every time they leave their homes or try to go to work because sidewalks are becoming increasingly dangerous. That is so irresponsible, and I've introduced legislation and co-sponsored legislation to require registration, lower speed limits, and strengthen accountability because I believe our laws need to catch up with technology. But what I've seen repeatedly on Staten Island and in Manhattan is e-bikes riding on sidewalks, going the wrong way on one-way streets, blowing through red lights as if they're advisory, totally ignoring crosswalks. I think most e-bike riders, believe it or not, are responsible. Most delivery workers are hardworking people trying to support their families. This lawsuit is not about them. Public safety is not a war on e-bikes. It's a defense of pedestrians. Common sense isn't anti-bike. It's pro-public safety. But while we're debating new laws, we shouldn't stop enforcing the laws we already have. And unfortunately, that's exactly what the mayor did. Rights and responsibilities travel together. If you have a right to operate a motorized vehicle, you have the responsibility to obey the rules. The fastest vehicles shouldn't have the fewest consequences. And I'll end with this. No one should have to choose between getting some fresh air and getting home safely. New Yorkers shouldn't have to wear a helmet to take a walk. And that's why I'm here. Thank you to Jim Walden. Thank you for the leadership and the courage of everybody that's standing up here.
This is how democracy
For
works.
everybody whose life was saved once we start enforcing the law again, they owe you all a debt of gratitude. Thank you.
And then to hear from another one of our plaintiffs, Walter Matuza, who is legally blind, M-A-T-U-Z-A.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, everyone, for coming out this afternoon or morning. I am legally blind. It's a challenge for me traveling around from Staten Island to Manhattan. I work in Manhattan, and coming to Manhattan every day is quite the feat, because you got these bikes that come flying by. My reaction time isn't that fast. Everyone else's reaction time isn't that fast a lot of times. It's a challenge for many of my neighbors, many of other people with disabilities out there. That's why I'm here, trying to fight for my family and friends of my community who have disabilities and who, are having a challenge with these crazy riders out there. Let's keep fighting, and let's get this law changed, please. Come on, guys.
And now, Bonnie Gerard, a victim of e-bikes.
Good morning. My name is Bonnie Gerard. I am a victim.
Try your best.
Good morning. My name is Bonnie Gerard. I am a victim of an e-bike accident whereby I was standing on 80th Street on the east side on 2nd Avenue on the sidewalk. An e-bike refused to let a car make a legal left turn and went straight into me. I suffered a patella fracture on my right leg, stitches on my left leg, a concussion, all bruised body. I am very happy to be here to be talking to you today. I now have to go back into therapy because a nerve acted up again and the right leg is in trouble. Please help us have this rule, this suit passed so that we can go back to safety for all pedestrians. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now Wendy Peace, P-E-A-C-E, another e-bike victim.
Hi, I'm actually a cyclist as well as a pedestrian, and I was biking along the bike path going the right way, and a city e-bike came out the wrong way, down the path the wrong way, and head first. I somersaulted over the handlebars, and I don't know what happened after that. In the ambulance, they kept telling me this is what they see all day long. E-bikes hitting people, e-bikes hitting cyclists. I'm a cyclist who wants laws. I want to be held accountable. I want to have to stop at a red light and not go the wrong way on a bike lane. We have that responsibility to pedestrians and other cyclists. I'm also a pedestrian, but I also have neighbors who can no longer go to the park because they're petrified to walk across Central Park West because of the bikes going back and forth. We need to hold people accountable. Priscilla's law will do that. Laws hold people accountable. The Department of Transportation's own website states this. They say since speed cameras have been put in, there's been 94% fewer speed violations and numerous fewer injuries. So we need to do the same for bikes. We all have a responsibility to our vulnerable citizens, and we need them to enjoy the city as much as everybody else.
Rita Rosenkrantz, R-O-S-E-N-K-R-A-N-T-Z. Another.
Okay.
Spell it again.
Good morning. My name is Rita Rosenkrantz, and I'm an accidental accident. Last August 18th at about 6 p.m.
Wait. There's no T in Rosencrantz in it. Before the thing.
Last August 18th at about 6 p.m., I walked with my nephew from our home toward the soccer field on West 103rd Street in Riverside Park, heading north on the promenade in the park. At 88th Street, we were both hit from behind by a city bike and thrown to the ground. My nephew had abrasions, but he was intact. I couldn't lift my left arm and needed to cradle it with my right. 3 bicyclists stopped, and the one who hit me said he was blinded by the light and couldn't brake in time. We exchanged names and numbers. I said I was in excruciating pain and wanted to go to City MD on Broadway and West 88th Street. He said they would park their bikes, get their car, and pick me up to take me to City MD. My nephew and I waited on a nearby bench for 10 minutes or so, tried the number, we hadn't checked it right away, and it wasn't a valid number. After an inconclusive x-ray and examination at City MD, the following morning,
I went to NYU ER. I had 4 fractures along my humerus, and the stem that holds the wall of my shoulder in place was not intact, requiring surgery. A titanium plate and 9 screws were needed for the repair. When I was up for it, about a week later, I tried to locate the bicyclist through Lyft. They said without a city bike number they couldn't help me. Having never rented a city bike, I didn't know to look for an identifying number. I noted the coordinates, the park's location, that there were 3 bikes idling for about 15 minutes. I was not able to get any information, even from a supervisor. There are no cameras at that location in Riverside Park. The 24th Precinct wouldn't take a report after the fact.
That's right. Okay.
I realized at the event, even with the seriousness of the accident, how lucky I am. An inch or two, one way or another, I might have suffered a much worse fate. Still, this accident became a crime, a hit and run, and there is no recourse except to tell the story, my story, and to hope for legislation that leads to stricter laws and accountability.
Thank you. And our last victim is Patty Myers, M-Y-S-E-R-M-Y-E-R-S.
Yes. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Janet. She's amazing. On September 9, 2024, I was going into a cab on 2nd Avenue and 58th Street, just minding my own business. The cab came, and all of a sudden, I got hit by an e-bike.
Patty, can you come closer to the microphone?
Okay. He did not stop. He came back and said, "Lady, you walked into me," and didn't care. Just left me lying in the middle of the street. The ambulance came. I had emergency hip surgery. I was in the hospital for 2 nights, in the emergency room for 12 hours. I had 6 months of physical therapy. I had a cane, I had a walker. Then I needed a second surgery, and it took me a long time to get to where I am, and it wasn't a fun situation. I'm in my mid-70s, and every day is a gift that I'm on this earth, and to have my walking around the city deterred is horrible. Okay, now even now as I walk in the city, we repeated this, but I have to say, I'm scared. It took away, I moved from the suburbs 21 years ago to be a walker in the city. And now I'm scared because the bikes don't stop at red lights. They're on the sidewalks on 3rd Avenue so much. And I just want to say, please pass Priscilla's law. It is so important that we have accountability. And there needs to be more, because otherwise more people will get hurt, and I don't want to see that happen.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
And lastly, Valerie Mason from the 70 Streets Community Association. Valerie.
Hi, Valerie Mason. I'm the president of the East 72nd Street Neighborhood Association. I'm also the chair of CB8, but I'm not here in that capacity. I'm here in my capacity as a New Yorker and as the president of East 72 NA. This is about citizens not having to go to court to enforce laws that are already in place to protect public safety. We need enforcement. Right now the city council and the mayor are going over the budget. We need enough funds to enforce the laws we have. DOT should not be putting in place any additional 2-way bike lanes until there is a complete investigation as to what happened on the Queensboro Bridge. That should not be happening. We need our laws to be enforced. E-bike safety, public safety, pedestrian safety is the #1 public safety issue in this city. And the police department should have the right to enforce the laws that we already have. We shouldn't have to bring a lawsuit to get enforced what's already on the books of this great city.
Thank you,
Thank you
Valerie.
very much.
Now, Councilmember Morano will take some questions.
Oh, easy ones only, please.
We understand you're concerned about safety. What is the answer for e-bikes? Because they're not going away. We have a public that's obsessed with deliveries. What is the answer?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, I think the mayor needs to go back to what was practically the enforcement of the law prior to his executive order back in March, which is if you violate the law, you have to be treated as if you're violating the law. Two, we need a statutory speed limit in the law. I'm on legislation with Councilmember Maloney to do just that. Three, we need to make sure that if you're riding one of these vehicles, you have a registration, just like if you were riding a motorcycle or a car. If you're riding something that can go incredibly high speeds, hurt someone and it has a motor, is it really fair to call it a bike? And yet, the law is treating them as if they're bicycles. 3, these people are, the people who ride these things, in many cases, are terrorizing folks in parks. We need an outright ban in terms of city bikes, in terms of e-bikes in city parks. That to me is an elemental part of this strategy. I'm on legislation with Councilmember Palladino to do just that. So 1, the mayor needs to go back to actually enforcing the law. 2, we need speed limits. 3, we need registrations. 4, we need to ban them from parks. None of those things stop people's food from being delivered by DoorDash or hurt anybody that's trying to make a living.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Because we have to wrap up. Okay. After. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.